Hello everyone, Manithral here, and welcome to the weekly update video for Runescape RS3. Now, we do have another Ninja Week this week, which is alright. We have a double XP weekend coming up this weekend too, so that actually all fits together pretty nice. Now, it does say that they will have a double XP timer pause, so they want people to be able to make the most of it. But waste no more thanks to introducing a timer toggle. So players can now pause on their 48-hour double XP entitlement whenever they wish. So this means if you don't want to get double XP while you go bossing, you don't have to waste that double XP while you go bossing. You can use it for something else. But it does say tread carefully, however, after you toggle it, you will not be able to change it again for another hour. So that's something to keep in mind. Basically, there's a cooldown of an hour if you were to toggle it off. But that's actually really nice of them. Something they really shouldn't be doing, but hey, let's make the most of that. We also have Protean improvements. This is previously players would have to use each size of Protean resource individually, a bit too clicky, or clicktastic for their taste. So now the portable skilling packs, Protean packs, the skilling dummies, now stack in the inventory with other packs of the same type and size. So now there's also a new use all checkbox on the interface. Essentially being able to use all of your Protean packs at once means less time clicking and going through everything. There's other Protean improvements as well. Protean bars now have a do not ask me again option when smithing that instantly opens the make X interface for the Protean smithing. Various improvements have been made to messaging displayed when converting Proteans, such as displaying how many will be converted and obtained. Protean power-ups now have an activate 1x and all option. Protean power-ups examine text now state how long each one can be activated for. So these options will still adhere to a 2-hour Protean power-ups time limit. In addition, Protean packs, portable station dummies can now be stacked as they'll no longer take up individual bank spaces in the inventory. That means less trudging back and forth to the bank. So a lot of improvements there. Portable stations, obviously as above, but it says previously you were undetermined how much time is left, which in turn made planning skilling activities around them a little tricky. It was also difficult to say thanks to a player who operated or extended portables, making it feel a little bit less thankless job or task as opposed to the community-oriented activity it was intended to be. So the examined text for portable stations will now include the time remaining, the owner's in-game name, and the in-game name of the last person to extend the timer. Furthermore, should you attempt to place a portable skilling station somewhere with one of the same kind nearby, a prompt text will now ask if you'd like to extend the existing one instead. This way to condense down the amount of things that are in one area. Combat dummy training improvements. We have the melee, magic, and range dummies have been combined into one single all-purpose combat dummy. So now you could just, it's a combat dummy. It's not a particular one now. When used, the player will be asked which kind of dummy they'd like to deploy. Skilling dummies of the same type are now stacked in the inventory, plus dummies can now be placed one tile apart as opposed to 3. So it's a lot more convenient to make it easier. There's now 8 additional areas where the game will just simply hide your companions. The Hall of Memories, Shantae's Past, Artisan Workshop, the Inner Ring of the Varrock Grand Exchange, Deep Sea Fishing Hub, Berthorpe Bank, Well of Goodwill, and inside the keeps of Clan Citadels. Full Ninja Strike notes. So now there is a double XP timer, pause button, as mentioned. When it is not applies, but otherwise blocking training methods are reactivated. Players can pause the timer indefinitely. This way, if you really don't want double XP, you don't have to take it. Players can pause, when resuming the timer, there's a 1-hour cooldown. The pause will persist over logins, so if you pause it whenever you log out, you'll still be paused when you log in. The double XP timer will no longer disappear and become unavailable after the player has used up their double XP time. Portable skilling stations. Improvements have been made to the text of the skilling stations. The timer remaining in different color to make it easier to read. About the player who placed it and the one who most recently to extend it. Attempting to place it will ask if you wish to extend it as well. The Protean skilling dummies and portables. Portable skilling packs, Proteans now stack. There's a use all checkbox. Protean bars have a do not ask me again option. And a lot of these things are actually things they already said, but they're saying it again. General, other players' familiars, again. The 8 areas that will automatically hide them. This is the Hall of Memory, Shantae's Pass, Artisan Workshop, the Inner Ring of the Grand Exchange, Deep Sea Fishing Hub, Birthworth Bank, Well of Goodwill, and inside the keeps of Clan Citadel. When loading silver jewelry such as the Botanist Amulet from presets, the first available used version of the item will now always be loaded by default. This is to stop presets from creating more used versions and cluttering the bank. New pieces of silver jewelry have a new at the end of their name. The amount of cleansing crystals available from the Hyphen Monks has been increased from 5 to 30. This will restock at the same rate as before. The default make X quantity for tipping headless airs and creating darts has been increased from 10 to 20. And changes to Treasure Hunter. This is actually kind of interesting here. I read a little bit about this. Starting with the return of Time to Train starting August 4th. There's a new trial. So currently it was, the special ones would only last, 1 day. But it says during both months, each promotion that goes live will run uninterrupted for 2 weeks. This way there's less bounce and forth. And it says in order to keep things fresh, they'll be mixing up rewards or mechanics during the runtime of these 2 weeks promotions, including some brand new rewards and the return of some golden oldies. This is why the change. In November last year, they talked about improving Treasure Hunter with more transparency and experimentation with new mechanics. This prompted a number of new promotion designs, e.g. Ring of Shards, Diamond Dozen earlier this year. Their next port of call is examine the ways to keep Treasure Hunter interesting week to week, and experiment with new ideas how to approach that challenge with this trial. And they were to take the focus off shorter time limit promotions and instead focus on the appeal of refreshed rewards and mechanics, which is actually good too, because if you think about it, it's kind of encouraging people to spend more because you have 1 day to try to get these special rewards that you want to get, versus now you have a couple weeks you can actually kind of go into it at your leisure and kind of relax about it. But do not forget, but yeah, the Time to Train then, that means for that will be running August 4th until Monday, August 17th. So keep that in mind. They're very keen to see how we feel about it. The Double XP Live will be going on starting August 7th at 1200 game time. And you have 10 days to use 48 hours, however you wish, especially since there's a pause button. So that is fantastic. Don't forget the beach is actually currently going on, so do check that out. And now for this week in RuneScape with the community, we got Thwack Like Thawk, and we have somebody here doing a little cosplay. I'm guessing her character is, well, she's dressed like her character, and then that is, of course, Thawk's staff there. I think it's Thawk's staff. Yeah, Thawk's stick. Alright. So that is actually kind of interesting. She did a good job with that. Live streams this week is August 4th at 1600 game time, which is Q&A with RuneScape Lore Council. Thursday, August 6th at 1500 game times. Tutorials number 9 with Mod Stu, Porky, and Mod Jack. Featured streamer this week will be Vaseline Fairy, and that will be August 3rd at 1700 game time. Custom Twitter banner. Fancy your own personalized Twitter banner featuring some Desperate Measures key art. And then it says full details will be made available in tweet later this week. Keep your eyes out on the official Twitter if you want in. And then as far as the official showcase, you got obtained a fire cape on an account with 9 HP. That's actually really impressive, at least to me. And then also, they got from RS Zorander. Very beautiful picture right here. Then we have Creative Corner, Chaos Elementals fanfic, A Hard Fall. 40 chapters of compelling fiction awaits. And then featured videos from Orbscape. Alyssa says, "Let's Play" by Orbscape. So that's a really good thumbnail. I really like that one. The forum spotlight. Don't forget, there's a forum spotlight every week, you know, to check out, see what's all going on. Then you got this Pink Skirts event at the very bottom here. Now, lastly, we have a good chunk of patch notes, and this is one reason why I kind of avoid doing certain things now. First day or two, is there's always fixes. And I hate saying that to you guys, but I stopped doing first day quest guides because I know there's going to be fixes. And it's been this way now for a little while, and instead of there being bugs or glitches, this way you guys don't have to deal with those hiccups. But Desperate Measures fixes. Thok and Hannibus will no longer appear multiple times during a sequence in Desperate Measures. Charles no longer incorrectly starts dialogue that should only have taken place in the Anachronic base camp. Selecting a preset in Bank no longer disables the Scabarus Communion boost granted by this Desert Pantheon aura. Dinosaurs have stopped shaking while walking, thankfully. Elite Dungeons improvements. The Black Hands of Zootak's defense have been slightly reduced during the encounter with the Blackstone Dragon in the Dragon Laboratory Elite Dungeon. The height of the overhead enemy NPC target panel has been adjusted for the Black Hands of Zoo's attack, as well as several mini-bosses in the Dragonkin Laboratory. Fire from the Dragonstone Dragon fight in Elite Dungeons 3 no longer damages you once the encounter has concluded. Adding Elite Dungeon lore pages to the partially completed lore book no longer creates a new lore book in your backpack. If you already have one, in the bank. Edward, the Wilderness Cape seller outside of Dragonkin Laboratory, now allows you to bank while in combat. Mopped up some blood in Stellaron's arena that could cause issues with targeted abilities such as Bladed Dive, and causes change the blood in the Blackstone Dragon's arena into inactive scenery. Players can no longer attack the boss from outside the boss arena. Instead, players will now teleport inside the boss arena after the boss is activated. Starting the boss fight will also teleport all players within the boss area to its center. Combat dummies can no longer be placed inside Stellaron's arena in the Dragonkin Laboratory. Fixes. Scrimshaw of Corruption no longer loses all its charges if it's activated or removed from the pocket slot within 19 minutes of charge remaining. Olivia the Chronicler now uses female combat sounds. Mobile improvements. A warning message will now show in the Grand Exchange when attempting to sell items that exceed the total amount within the player's inventory. Mobile players will now get a warning message when attempting to trade items that are untradeable. Made the World Select interface full screen and removed a white bar blocking the settings buttons in iOS. Modernized the presentation and the position of Shades of Morton minigame interface. Fixes. Buffs and debuffs will no longer overlap the directional arrows during the Araxor boss fight. Fix an issue causing a pop-up to block progression during the augmentations section of the invention tutorial. The Dbl XP is active pop-up on Dbl XP Daily Reward. Pop-ups have been temporarily disabled on login, preventing a static black screen. Farming and herblore improvements, updated potion tooltips that reference adrenaline special attack gain to specify a percentage rather than a value, and to match the other adrenaline potions. It is no longer possible to use a bomb on a NPC or banker NPC. Instead, the player is now asked how many bombs would they like to deposit. Extreme potion timer can no longer be extended by logging out and back in again. Ripper Dinosaur and Gerbicula Malum colors now appear the same on all graphic settings. And now when creating Primal Extract via the portable skilling well, you'll receive an extra 10% experience boost. Other improvements: disable the player silhouette that occurs when emoting while obscured. The upgrade button no longer overlaps with the report button while inspecting another player in Legacy UI mode. Updated a firearm Mazcab that was using an older model. Clan Vixeliums are no longer placeable on or next to the archaeological deposit carts. Fixes: it is no longer possible to spawn a duplicate Bar's brother by clicking on the sarcophagus as they die. Fix an issue with virtual levels not providing fanfare, fireworks, pop-up, jingle, etc. when gaining XP. Zera's Godsword special attack description now correctly says the black hole ability allows for 20 seconds and not 30. Fix a missing tile in the Red Axe base. Players can no longer use Surge Escape while wearing bed sheets. The click box on the Varrock fountain has been reduced to allow players to cross through the fountain without the need to use the right click. Items manufactured at the workbench will no longer drop to the ground after unequipping a piece of gear to free up the last backpack slot. Animation is now fixed when climbing the ladder in Benedict's house in Varrock. The correct icon will now display when selecting an invention machine to build. The barrels at the Manor Farm now all have the correct collision. When returning to a max skill portal with the Grace of the Elves equipped, the teleport will now take the player to the correct location. The Library of Next achievement now displays upon completion. Remove some blocking from the Wizard's Tower bridge. Keybinds on the action bar should now be correct. Keybinds on the action bar should now not be incorrectly used when the player has destroyed an item or set the keybind. Players can now shear sheep for wool with one empty backpack slot when they have many wool. The perk is active. Transmuting items with ancestral energy now gives a proper amount of output. The upgrade button no longer obscures the examine player window for free-to-play players in Legacy interface mode. Modeled light beams have been removed from the Fremennik Slayer dungeon as they were casting shadows. Players could no longer enter the King Black Dragon encounter while having a teleport block debuff active. Fix an issue causing hotkeys to trigger while typing in chat with the Treasure Hunter interface open. It is no longer possible to walk through agility obstacles inside the Big Game Hunter encounter. Corrected an issue requiring you to equip spike gauntlets for the tutorial's path achievement. An Ancient Familiar's special move now grants the correct amount of summoning XP. Remove the forest walk tiles in the Manor Farm, north of the Manor Farm, that were preventing navigation. Players will now consistently receive level up pop-ups when gaining a virtual level. Resolved an issue in which a player could become stuck when clicking out of the dialogue whilst interacting with a pylon during the Desperate Measures quest. Fix an issue to prevent fishing bait from Ashdale being dropped on the floor, which allowed the player to repeatedly claim free bait. No typo fixes this week, and the hot fixes were a certain agility vine in Anachronia can once be traversed. All chat now displays correctly. Transmuting ancestral energy now gives the expected 10 times resource instead of 1 times. And Cheros now directs players to the Anachronia base camp at a certain point during Desperate Measures, as Cheros shouldn't be visible outside of the base camp at that stage of the quest. So that's actually it for everything this week, guys.
So, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, later, guys.